Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Ammar, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we are absolutely thrilled to be joined by Ron Sosa, the founder and CEO of SynApt, a neuro-inclusive leadership coaching practice designed to empower neurodivergent and values-driven leaders to show up authentically and thrive. Drawing from over 15 years of leadership in veterinary and coaching roles, Ron now helps professionals navigate burnout, masking, and misalignment. Ron, welcome to Founders Future.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here and talk about this in more detail.
I'm excited to dive in. I always like to start from the beginning. So take me on a little trip down memory lane to
Yeah,
before you started your company, SynApt. What were you
yeah,
doing at the time? And then what was really the motivation behind starting the company?
yeah. Like what you said, in fact, I probably need to update a little bit. I've hit my 20-year mark in veterinary medicine has been my industry and profession since then. And so I've gone that road. I've been almost every position within a hospital except for being a veterinarian. And so when I got into leadership, what happens in most companies is the person who can do the job the best tends to get a leadership role, right? So you get promoted into this leadership role and to practice, manage the practice. And then it was like, yes, I get a chance to be the leader, the boss that I never had. And
Mm,
unfortunately, what I found out was without skill, without preparation, I wound up being the leader I always had. I'll never forget raising my voice at my team. And it was like the moment where I realized I have to do something different. In the
mm,
same time, I was having difficulties in my own personal relationship. We went to couples counseling, and I always like to say I went in for couples counseling. I came out with an ADHD diagnosis. With my ADHD, I was having this very low level of frustration. So everything was getting to me, everything was stressing me out and amplified in this leadership position because I had put so much pressure on myself to perform. So fast forward into my career to the pandemic, I think that a lot of people went through a mental, I don't want to say crisis, but went through a mental health decline, right? And went back in, did a lot of therapy, did a lot of self-work, tried to work through some of the burnout, and I came out with an ASD diagnosis, so autism, which I came out of there thinking this doctor's a quack. There's no way. It's not the avatar I have in my head of what it would look like. And it really got me going down this rabbit hole of what that looks like. And what I
yeah.
realized is like I found a part of me I never knew existed. And then
Mm,
you start to flash your life before you, and you're like, wow, some of these struggles I had as a young kid, some of the struggles I had in my career, some of the struggles I had as a leader, didn't even know I was facing. I just thought that's how things were. They were just supposed to be hard. And so that's where this thought of came to be, where I give back to leaders and go, it doesn't have to be this hard. Let's open up the world. Let's show you where you're struggling and you don't have to struggle. So I did a lot of advocacy work in between that. And then when I got my coaching certification, I've just opened the business and moved forward with it.
wow, powerful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And
Yeah,
it
thank you.
sounds like you took that period of life getting the diagnosis, but also the pandemic. I know so many people struggled during that time. The majority of people really did, to be honest.
Yeah.
It sounds like you took that and alchemized in a way. I don't know if I'm using the right, I think I'm using the term correctly, but you took it to mold yourself and to build yourself and strengthen your character. I'm
Yeah.
curious, before we dive into your business and kind of the nitty-gritty of all the stuff, how were you able to do that instead of letting it like bring you back in life? Because a lot of people would take, setbacks, obstacles, or perceived setbacks, perceived obstacles, and
Yeah.
let that hold them back and put themselves in a category and just be like, you know what? This is just, I can't do more than this.
Yeah, I think once you go down that rabbit hole of discovering who you are and then starting to make like incremental, tiny little change in how you operate and how you see the world. And I don't want to say give excuse for it, but just having a name for what it is you're going through just was really empowering to
Mm,
see the small tweaks that would happen or how I would interact or just even allow myself to be who I was without making excuses for it. It was like small empowering steps over time. And it just seeped through. And the more it happened and the more I realized, wow, this actually works when I work with myself instead of against myself. Like doors started to open. I started to talk about it with colleagues, and I had to tell you, there's so many people that have the shame of coming out and saying, "Yeah, I have ADHD," or "Yeah, I have autism." It was surprising to me how many people would tell me their own story as I started to open up about mine. And what I realized, this is my own there's no data to support this, but this is my own theory, is that in veterinary medicine, I think there's that human animal bond connection is so safe. And I think that we, as neurodivergent individuals, form those connections with animals that we are attracted to veterinary medicine in that way. We want to
yes.
like nurture that bond between the human and the animal. And so that's my theory, at least. I see a lot more neurodivergence in veterinary medicine than I see in other industries. I don't know if that answered your question. I think I got off track, but
Does. Yeah, it does. I love that. And I love how you use it in a way that's empowering and not
yeah,
disempowering. And you saying that, I think, will help people going through similar things. And that's an interesting theory. I never really thought about that, of the correlation between the two. Let's fast forward to give the listeners more context into SynApt today and what that looks like.
yeah,
Two questions. Who would you say is your ideal customer? Who do you love to work with? And then from there,
yeah.
we can dive into the different offers and services.
Yeah, I think I've got a couple different ideal clients, but the top ideal client right now is I work with veterinary practice owners. So whether you're a veterinarian or not, so I was a practicing practice manager, excuse me. And so I went in on like a minority share owner in a practice. And so I think I relate really well, and we can cut through some of the language, and having to understand that with coaching is, I think there's a familiarity when you have the same position before. And so those are the positions in which we make the most impact the quickest. So it's either a veterinarian or a practice manager who's a part or full owner of a business is typically my client who has ADHD, dyslexia,
Mm,
autism, dyspraxia, Tourette, something like that, and is trying to find ways to work with themselves and find themselves.
okay, very interesting and very niche. So walk me through, you said that's your top ICP. Are there anything else that you would, is there anything else that you would add to that?
Yeah, I think I'm open to an array of veterinary professionals, and I would even say outside of the veterinary profession, I've had a few clients in the dental
Cool.
medical space. I've had some clients that are completely outside of agnostic of medicine, but I think that's where I have the highest voice right now, and that's where I'm attracting my clients. So yeah,
Yeah, that's powerful. And from a business perspective, I find it very beneficial, especially with a lot of the clients that we've worked with. We've worked with thousands of coaches, consultants at this point. The more niche that you can be, niche, whatever you say, the more successful the business can be. And also the
yeah.
more impact you can have because it's more targeted and tailored to that specific person.
Yeah. Like I said before, it's like you really cut through some of the language when you're having those coaching conversations. We can put away some of the extra explaining about what it is you do and what it is you deal with, because we have a shared language, we have a shared understanding of what's going on. And like I said, the impact is deeper and faster.
I love that. Now, let's say you have these veterinary practice owners in front of you that have some sort of diagnosis. Walk me through, what does it actually look like to work with you from a client engagement perspective? What are those different offers, packages? Walk me through that.
Yeah, so typically we start obviously with a discovery call, like a lot of coaches do. And then I tailor it down to what it exactly they're trying to achieve. We have some of my clients who are very much, this is what I'm trying to achieve. And it's very specific, very direct. And I have a package of 5 to 6 sessions. Let's just cut through all the red tape and just get this work done. And then I have a package all the way up to a 6 month. And it's more like the unmasking, the figuring out identity, the authenticity of who this person is, how they lead, the things that are working in the systems that they've created around them that have been passed down to them. Like we often just take these systems, we build our practices around them because that's the way things have always been. And then we break that down. Why did we develop this system? How can we adopt it? How can we create a more inclusive environment for the whole team once we get past and like work with the person? And it's really very human centric. I work
Yeah.
with a lot of neurodivergence, but it really does come down, I always say, from a human talking to another human at the other side of the table.
Mm,
Who are they? And let's just get to know them and how their brain works and how they have operated the world and see the world from their perspective. And really the universal design concept of really making a
yeah.
workplace that fits all.
Yeah. So you said there's a 6 months, it goes all the way up to 6 months. What's the shortest?
I have a 5 week, I've
Okay.
got a 12 week, and I've got a 6 month program right now.
Okay. Very cool. And are those like one-on-one? Is it group? What does that look like? Is it a combination?
Yeah, right now I only do one-to-one. I think there's a model that I'm working on to break that apart and then give some level of coaching and some level of information sharing with those who maybe can't afford the one-to-one or can't dedicate the time to one-on-one. Working through funnels like that right now to figure out what is the best way for that person to learn how their brain works and functions.
Okay. And are you thinking that could be like a lower ticket thing, lower ticket community, maybe? What's the idea there?
Yeah, so right now the plan is I submitted a manuscript. I created my own book and a framework for neuro-inclusive leadership. So I've got a book. I am currently working on a playbook version of that. So it's very practical. Let's like actually work through your business and how you operate and how your team is. And so there's the book, the playbook. We've got the course, so drive home the points a little bit
Okay.
further, actually doing deeper level work. And then there'll be a cohort program I'm going to be running once a year where it's okay, let's work as a group of individuals working on a similar thing in their own businesses. It might not have the exact same goals, but the overarching goal is the same, is to be more
Yeah.
neuro-inclusive and work with our people and work with ourselves.
Yeah. I like that. I like that you're thinking of that because then you can actually scale both your business, but also the impact that you're having on the clients that you serve.
Yeah.
Let's shift a little bit to the back end of the business. When it comes to client acquisition, and when you're
Yeah.
looking to bring on more people into the 5 week, 12 week, and 6 months one-on-one, what does that process currently look like from a lead gen and a marketing standpoint?
Yeah, I think now my business is about 7 months old right now. So
Okay.
I've been very blessed to have all almost 90% word of mouth. I have acquired two clients via social media content, but everything else has been word of mouth. That word of mouth, they start to check out my social media content and then they reach out. But 90, I think it's just under 90%. It's like 89.6% when I looked at the data last came
Nice.
from word of mouth.
I like that you have that data. That's a green flag for me. When you think about building predictability,
Mhm.
obviously word of mouth is fantastic, but it's not
Yeah,
the most predictable, it's not the most consistent when it comes to
correct.
lead flow. So I'm curious, when you think about that, have you had any challenges around just relying word of mouth, and what kind of future initiatives are you thinking of putting in place to build more predictability and consistency on the marketing side?
Yeah, I definitely, word of mouth to me tends to be feast or famine. So I was overrun by clients for a while. Then I had a little bit of a drought and then it picked back up in waves. And it's one of the reasons why I really am putting together this package around coursework around the book that I wrote. The book came out, the idea for the book came out before I even opened the business, but it goes together now. And then I have done speaking presentations in the veterinary industry for a couple years now. So now I have that funnel into talking to them, giving them some extra worksheets that go along with the book, that go along with the course. So it's really concentrating right now on some social media presence, which I have not been great about outside of LinkedIn. Like LinkedIn's been in my mind, it was like, that's where professionals are, that's where leaders are, that's where I'm going to hit first. So now I'm expanding into a little bit of the Instagram and the Facebook. And so there's that. And then I've really been concentrating on SEO and keyword generation through my blogs and trying to get the SEO up. I doubt people look. I don't know. I don't have the data quite
Yeah.
yet because I haven't been doing it long enough. But I can't imagine people are looking up. I'm a leader and I'm ADHD and I need coaching. I don't think that's something people think
Yeah.
about together. So I'm trying to bridge that gap.
Yeah. I think there's certain websites you can go to figure out how often certain keywords get
Yeah.
searched in specific markets. I'm curious because I think you would absolutely crush. Have you, if you did something like this, have you thought about doing some sort of funnel where it's a book a call funnel or an application to work with you funnel,
Yeah.
and you're specifically talking to your target audience?
Yeah, the goal that I have by probably this time next year is going to be application-based coaching only. I'm not going to be taking on clients who just click on a link, purchase, and buy. It's going to be application only.
Yeah,
So once I get this complete funnel going with the course and the books and all of that, it's only going to be application only.
got it. Walk me through your other goals for the next 12 months. Do you have any specific revenue targets? What are you really aiming towards?
Yeah, let's see. Revenue targets right now, I if I extrapolate a little bit, I haven't gone out to the next year. I've just gone to the end of this year. I'm trying to get a $60,000 revenue for this year, which I don't think is impossible with the rate that I'm currently at and having 5.5 months left in the year.
Yeah.
And then next year, I'm hoping to do like a 10 to 15% increase on top of that at the current rate of what I'm doing. If this funnel comes out and I've got to do a little bit more projections based on the pricing that we'll sell them at, but I think I can expand into about 100 to $120,000 practice next year.
Okay. What do you feel like is the biggest challenge to making that happen or even hitting 120 this year?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge for me is I actually love my full-time job under another company right now. I work for the
Okay.
Uncharted Veterinary Conference. And so it's like slowly leaving that company and then increasing the amount of time I work on my business. So that's some of
Yeah.
that is like the saying goodbye to this past life a little bit and then inviting myself to actually work for myself full time is has been a transition and something that I don't know how to let go quite yet.
Do you have an idea of when you want to make that decision, or have you not decided yet?
Yeah, my current goal is April of 2026. I would step back at least to 1 day a week, if not on a consulting or a contract basis with the current company I work for. I've talked to the owner there. I've been very transparent about it. And so I would love to just continue to work with the impact that they create. I absolutely love what they do,
Okay.
but I also love what I do more.
Yeah, fair enough. That makes perfect sense. And
Yeah.
why not do it sooner?
Why not do it sooner? I, to me, it's a little bit about stability. Stability is one of my personal values. And so I've got a husband and two kids. And so a little bit that is being able to
Or
afford the current lifestyle that we have and not take anything away from my kids that they currently have.
let's say you get that stability.
Yeah.
Like the goal is 120K next year. Let's say you could see a path where you can make a quarter mil this year, which
Yeah.
honestly, from what I've seen, with how specific you are with your audience and the way that your offer is laid out, I think is very doable. If you had that path, would you leave sooner?
I would.
Okay. So really
Yeah.
it's about laying down that path.
Yeah, I've tried to tell myself I'm laying down a slow strategic plan to get me to go where I'm at. But
Yeah.
100% if I could catastrophize success tomorrow and things just blew up, I would 100% walk away or just work on a contract basis for
Yeah.
that company.
Yeah. Because who knows, maybe the universe is putting things in your path that'll help you get there much sooner.
Yes, that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for it, but not banking on it.
Yeah, fair enough. I respect that. What advice would you give new entrepreneurs that are thinking about starting some sort of coaching practice in 2025?
I think just get out there. I think oftentimes we get caught up in this perfectionist mindset where it's, I have to have the perfect website. I have to have my LLC. I have to have all of these pieces in place. Just start doing the work. Let's get your name out there. Build the website as you're talking to clients. Like just put stuff out on social. It doesn't matter if it's branded yet. Just get it out there. You'll get a logo whenever it's the right time.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Like just start doing the work and the rest of it will follow. Like for me, that was the momentum I needed to actually do the logo. There's no way I was going to do a logo first and then figure out like now I've got all this debt of a designer and all of these platforms and no coaching clients. Like just
Mhm.
start the work and the
Yeah,
rest will follow.
100%. Go talk to clients. I'm a big believer in that because you don't even know what they truly want yet unless you start talking to them. And then you
Yeah.
can refine your offer a little bit further. You can make it more
Yeah.
attractive. And honestly, you could use ChatGPT to create a logo, and there's also a bunch of AI tools that you could use as well.
100%. And also, like you said, like I started out with one set of clients that I thought I wanted. And then as I started doing it, it was like very specific on who I wanted to reach. And
Yeah,
some of that language I changed and tweaked so that I could filter out the exact person I'm looking for.
100%. And you would have never figured that out unless you started actually working with clients.
Yeah. And if I built this big, beautiful plan first, I would have felt trapped in the plan. Like the sunk cost of all of that hard work would have
Yes.
felt trapped inside of it. And then I wouldn't have felt like the freedom of my own business.
100%. That's the beautiful thing about the internet, and that's the beautiful thing about having some sort of service-based business is you are able to pivot very quickly.
Yeah.
But the only way that you're able to pivot is by listening to the market feedback. Not by planning, not by sitting down and trying to figure out the perfect exact formula to get to this. So I love everything you're saying, man. What is the best way for people to reach out to you to work with you?
Yeah, the best way to reach out to me is via my site, which is coaching.syn-apt.me coaching.synapt.me. And LinkedIn is really where I'm at, like almost on a daily basis, if not several hours a day, just networking, talking, setting up calls, and just reaching out and talking to people.
Awesome. Awesome. Ron, thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Anytime. Any final words before we wrap up?
Just, I think the best thing that we talked about is just if you're starting your business, just start doing the work.
Yeah,
Like I was so afraid of just doing the work for so long and trying to make a plan. When I just started doing the work and the rest, I swear the rest just followed.
100%. I love that. So that wraps up another insightful episode of Founders Future. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, you can reach Ron at listen up coaching dot syn dash apt dot me coaching dot syn dash apt dot me. And if you are a business owner and you're looking to scale your business and you really want to understand the formula that took us from 0 to $30 million in 26 months, visit closers.io to discover how we can support your growth journey. Until then, keep on climbing.